What's up, everybody? Sports in the Bay with Felicia and Edric. We have a couple of very special guests. We'll get to them in just a second. Sad day in the Bay. Lisa, how you doing? I know it was tough.
Sad day in the Bay. Why did that
Sad
have to
day in the Bay.
rhyme?
Was sad day in the Bay. Well, let's get into
Yo,
it. Sports in the Bay. Felicia and Edric. Let's go. Melancholy. That's the word, I think. I don't have a word
Mel-
officially, but I'm just gonna say it. What melancholy, and people are just. So we're just gonna open it up and just have a conversation. We have Dave Gungona, we have my man Jeremy Harness, and it looks like, of course, the man himself is joining, Mike Wagner,
Wags.
along with Felicia
Wags.
Purcell.
What's
What's up,
happening?
Wags?
This cat.
What's up,
Hell
man?
on.
What's
You
going
know,
on?
I was just kicking with the homies. We're getting ready to watch some boxing, and you guys are courteous enough to let me join you tonight. So let's talk.
Let's get into it. So I'm gonna just start off by saying, sad day. Uh, a lot more emotion than I thought. It seems like it was even more emotion than when the Raiders left. It hit different. So I'll just stop there and you guys go for it. Felicia, your thoughts?
oh, I wasn't expecting that. My thoughts. A child growing up in Oakland. My first memories, Joe Rudy, um, Vita Blue, loving to see Billy Martin kick dirt on people, Big Dave Kingman, Ricky Henderson, and later on in the 90s, Eckersley, just the fabric of Oakland. That was the one team we had when the Raiders hadn't come back yet, and the Warriors were there, but the Warriors is the Bay Area team, and it was never called the Oakland Warriors. So it's just like the Bay Area's team, but the Oakland A's is a team that was like their logo said, rooted in Oakland. And it's a sad day. I don't want to look at many highlights. It just makes me think of the baseball as a generational thing. It's one of the oldest sports, and it carries through many generations. And it's sad. I'm thinking about the workers at the Coliseum, those who are retired, those do it for multiple extra streams of income. It's as though the owner didn't think of any of those people, the politics in it all. I could go on forever, but yeah, fortunate to. Oh, did I not mention Reggie Jackson? That's my favorite Oakland A's player of all time. But yeah, first sporting event I went to was a class trip to the Oakland Coliseum, and we would sit in the bleachers, and the players would talk to us and they'd wave at us, and we'd be so excited, and the girls we'd be swooning over what's his name, Tony Armas.
Tony
Yeah,
Armas. That's a name from the
Wow.
past.
That was
man,
one of the original Oakland Sluggers.
yeah,
Yeah.
That man
Yeah.
wielded a fierce bat. He was one of my
yeah.
favorite players when I was a youngster growing up.
Love
And
me some
he
Tony Armas.
think about that outfield, Fee. That's one of the greatest outfields ever assembled, and
Mhm.
definitely the best outfield that Oakland has ever had.
Mhm.
Ricky, Dwayne
Ray
Murphy,
Murphy.
and Armas, all three of
Yeah.
them could play defense. All
Yep.
three of them could play great offense, and those
Yeah.
were those were fun. The thing about the A's that goes back to when they were winning the World Series and everything, it wasn't just a baseball team and fans. It was a community. They
Right.
were
Mhm.
they were like the same DNA. The A's were Oakland. Oakland was the A's. And it was so fun. There was a lot of fun and joy that came with it. Of course, winning helps promote all that, but it was interesting. Last night I watched Marshawn Lynch's uh podcast with Mike Robinson, and it was from a couple days ago, so the last game hadn't been played. And Marshawn talked about, and it made so much sense. He said there's an ism about Oakland, and he said I took it with me to Buffalo, I took it with me to Seattle. He said Oakland people, and this is something I've maintained for a long time. He said you can go to an A's game or a Raiders game without a ticket, without any money, anything. Nothing.
And you're gonna eat.
No food.
And you're gonna
And
eat too. You're gonna
if you
get
had
fed.
on an A's jersey or a Raiders jersey, you were gonna get fed. You were gonna get something to drink, and odds are somebody's gonna hook you up with a ticket. And so it's, and I think what made yesterday, to me, there was a lot going on. I had to keep reminding myself that it was just the A's leaving, not just the Coliseum, because I attended so many different events at the Coliseum, concerts. I saw the Pointer Sisters there. I took my son to a monster truck show there. So the Coliseum holds a very special place in my heart. But at the same time, I reflected on it later. I don't know when I'll be going back to the Coliseum.
Right.
So for a lot of fans, it wasn't just saying goodbye to their team. They also were saying goodbye to the Coliseum, a place where they had so many special memories with their parents, with their families and their friends. And so it's kind of a big thing. The more I thought about it, it's just so deep. And I'm not surprised by the outpouring of emotion. I went through the parking lot on Tuesday, and I was surprised it was such an upbeat feeling amongst the fans, and it was because they weren't coming there they weren't looking at it so negatively, even though it was. A couple people I spoke to said, "Hey, we're family. This is what we do. We get together in good times. Now it's the bad times. We got to get together with family."
But let me ask you
And
though, Wack, let me jump in and ask you though, and to the panel, it's not over. I mean,
right,
they're not, I mean, Vegas, they haven't put a shovel in the dirt yet for a stadium. So
that's good.
it's they're going to Sacramento,
Allegedly.
right? But it's
Right.
not, so anyway, I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there. So, but
So, no,
like
it was
you,
funny.
Dave, what do you think, Dave, about what's going on and all that stuff, man?
Now they're going to be like, orphans that haven't been chosen. They're not going to have a name. They're just going to be the Athletics. They're not going to be called the Oakland Athletics, Sacramento, Las Vegas. They're going to be called just the Athletics. And that's going to be, every time you hear that, it's going to remind you about the past and the glorious past. I'm a little bit older than you guys, and they won 3 consecutive World Series when I was in high school. And, that became the team. I was always a Giants fan. I was raised in San Francisco, Willie Mays and all that. But when I was in high school, man, the Vita Blue was on the cover of Time magazine in 1971. Can you imagine that? The cover of Time magazine. You don't see athletes on the cover of Time anymore. That's how big that was. And it made the country aware of Oakland and the A's. And it's really sad that, now they're going to be a team with no identity. And, you said it was, it's, we've been talking about how sad it's been, and, how it's kind of like the Raiders. The people are used to the Raiders leaving. People, of our age, the A's have been here all our lives.
Yep.
So it's from birth on, and it's, it's just a tragedy.
Dave, can I ask you a question real quick? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, yeah. Let me Jeremy jump in.
Oh, it was a lot. Like Wag said, yesterday there was just a lot going on. Just watching the game from TV. I wasn't there, but it's just brought a lot of memories for me of going to the Coliseum, not only for the Raiders and the A's, but also watching the Oakland Invaders back in the day. Actually, that was the first game that I remember. Wags, you and Corcoran were coming from the Coliseum or coming from Candlestick one night, and we asked each other, what was our first game at the Coliseum? And you said the A's, Cork said the A's, and I said, for me, it was the Invaders. Bobby Hebert, David Greenwood, Anthony Carter.
Anthony Carter, that's right.
This is from 1805.
Gary Plummer.
Gary Plummer.
Yes.
What?
Let's not forget King Arthur. They also had Arthur Whittington, who
Wow.
was a former Raider running back.
And then also, man, Dave Browning, number 73. He had the meanest player mugshot I have ever seen in my life. It still scares the hell out of me to this day.
Those uniforms were fire, though.
They were absolutely.
They were nice, man.
But they came to us, and they had a great team, man. And me and my dad had a great time watching those games. But just for me, it just brought a lot of memories to when I was at the Coliseum. And I would one of the first memories that I had was when I was 8 years old in '86. This is when Jose Canseco was a rookie. My babysitter at the time would take us kids out of school or keep us out of school to go to the A's games, and we'd be like, and her favorite player was Dave Murphy or Dwayne Murphy. So, and we were right behind center field bleachers when they had center field bleachers back then, just to watch Dwayne Murphy.
I love Dwayne Murphy too.
Yeah. And we'd be playing catch with like Don Sutton when he was with the Angels. Jose Canseco, I remember threw me a baseball on his birthday, July 2nd. And there's a lot of other. I still have those baseballs to this day somewhere in my room somewhere.
I got another name for you guys, Mitchell Page.
Mitchell Page.
The sideburns. Best sideburns in baseball.
That's a deep cut.
We'd be waiting for him to do something. We'd be like, oh.
Mitchell Page. Man. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, for me, my two favorite players, and a lot of A's fans know, but they're not mainstream guys, but it was Billy North and Claudell Washington. I love those guys.
Washington.
Yeah.
Love Claudell. Claudell was easily my favorite player. I love that guy. Just like, and that was, again, like Jeremy's saying, he's got so many childhood memories going there. So do I. Fee, you, Dave, all of us do. And this is just the five of us talking right now. Magnify this by 40,000, the 47,000 fans that were there last night. That's how many people and more have been affected by this.
Yeah. Like you, Dave, I was a Giants fan growing up. I didn't go to my first A's game until I was 11 years old. And it just happened to be bat day. And who did not want the green Oakland A's bat? Did you ever get an Oakland A's bat at bat day?
Oh yeah.
You didn't want a bat?
Who didn't want one? Everybody wanted one.
Oh, okay. So you were saying you didn't want one.
No. I was a Giants fan, but that bat was so cool.
Yeah.
I had two older brothers. I didn't want the bat because they was getting beat with it by them. That's not a good memory for me.
Man, I can't remember who the signee was, but that was, like I said, as a Giants fan, and I just wore that bat out at the park. We used to play fast pitch, or we played three flies up to the point where the bat handle was starting to wear down because we would just use it so much. It was just the coolest thing. Those kind of memories, like you guys are talking about, bat day at the A's, green bat. Yeah. Loved it.
And it's not just us here talking, we have a different perspective because we're a little bit on the inside, but I mean, it's also the people. I mean, I became good friends with several of the guys, and Stu especially. Stu, in '81, I went to my first. When I was in college, I worked for an airline, so I could fly anywhere in the world, and I went to my first World Series. It was in '81. It was the Yankees and the Dodgers, and we're walking around the stadium, and Stu was warming up in the dugout. And, being a college student, I had to yell out, "Dodgers suck." and Stu kissed his fingers and then touched his ass and basically kissed my ass. And many years later, after I got to know him, I reminded him of that. He goes, "I probably told you to kiss my ass, huh?"
Nice.
No. I know I reached out to Shooty Babbitt, but he texted me and said that he couldn't make it on, but hopefully we can have him on in the future.
Yeah,
I
so
just-
many memories.
I saw
Can I ask
Shooty
Seeing those
question?
grown men cry.
weeks ago. He was at the we were at the putting green and over at the Albuquerque Golf Course where I'm at, where I about a 5-minute drive from where I live. And I tell you what, Shooty, he I didn't realize how good of a player he was. We played like a 9-hole match. I thought it was pretty good. Man, he stopped my ass out. I mean, no, he did. His short game is
He's in good
absolutely
shape
outstanding.
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
you know what I really like? I like the guy. I'm sorry, the guy. Dave, I know you or Wags will remember the name of the guy that would just be "Let's go Ace" with the big drum.
Crazy
Crazy
George.
George?
Crazy George?
Oh, thank you,
He was
Edric.
there
Yeah,
yesterday.
Crazy George would, have me rolling because he was so turned up. I'm like, what is he on? Straight adrenaline.
He looks the same. Did you see him?
Yes,
looks
he
the same.
does.
Yes, he does.
I mean, he was when I was a
Scary
kid. He
how
was
he
Hasn't aged.
always looked that way.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
now
Banjo
crazy.
Man. Remember Banjo Man too?
Yeah. He looks the same.
Banjo Man.
Banjo Man.
Yes.
You would see him at Giants games. You'd see him everywhere.
Yeah, I'm like, you're
You gotta
cheating.
call,
What you doing?
you gotta call me sometime. I got a private story to tell you about me and Banjo Man. You
Oh
will,
Lord, I
I promise you,
Uh-oh.
guess
you
what
will
it is.
laugh your behind off. He is hilarious.
Well, this
But
propeller
I wanted
spinning,
to
man.
ask a question.
This propeller
I
was
want to ask
spinning,
you a
right?
question, Fee and David. All three of us get access that the normal fan doesn't. We get to see behind the scenes and a lot of things that go on. And we've all been to A's games, Giants games, 49er games, and I'm not going to say the Raiders because that's different. But the interaction, and I think this is part of the reason why this fan base is who they are, is that every player that came into Oakland and put that jersey on, it was almost like part of the job. You will go be part of this community. You will go enjoy these fans. You will go out and talk to them. Every single game I went to, I would always see players standing on the railway, signing autographs, talking to the players. And I know that goes around across the league and all that. I get it. But it was a uniqueness that it was just a vibe in the air that was always there between the A's and their fans. Did Dave, you or Fee, did either of you pick up on that, or is that just me?
Oh,
No,
definitely.
absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
No, it's
You know,
an
I
Oakland
used to have.
thing for
Oh, go
sure.
ahead.
I'm done.
It's just that
Oh,
the
well.
A's fans are just the fan base is just different. I mean, you take a look across Major League Baseball or really any other sport for that matter. Oakland A's fans, Oakland fans in general, but particularly A's fans there's just a different vibe. It's a different emotion. All I gotta say, I got 2 words for this Balfour range. Back in 2012, last game of the season, the clincher, 9th inning when Balfour comes into the game, and you see in right field, they're just going absolutely insane, and just raging out. You mean tell me that you can look around any other stadium, you'll see that it's not happening. It only happens in Oakland, and there's just a different vibe, different energy, and it's just ours, and that's what made yesterday so difficult because you're not going to get that kind of emotion, you're not going to get that kind of energy any other place. You're not going to get it in Sacramento. You sure as hell ain't going to get in Vegas. I'm sorry, that's not happening.
I mean, I can't see a drum corps coming into Oracle Park. You know, it's stuff like that. I can't see people bringing their instruments to bang on at Oracle. You know, that's an Oakland thing.
Well, like the whole "we believe in Stephen Vogt." I mean, that's just a statement, and it became a movement.
Yeah,
an East Bay movement. We believe in Stephen Vogt, and he to this day talks about how much that meant to him. And that's part of, like I said, the connection between the fans and the A's players themselves. Jeremy said all Oakland, and I get it, but with the A's and their fans, it was just an undescribable bond.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, how
what
about
about
Charlie O the Mule?
16? Y'all remember that?
Which one?
Stairs 316.
Charlie O the Mule. Oh, go
Matt
ahead.
Stairs.
Matt Stairs. Man,
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, Matt Stairs.
Every time
Yes,
those years, he would come out to Stone Cold Steve Austin's that was his walk-up song, and all of a sudden, it catches it. It didn't take too long to catch on, but you see signs across the Coliseum, Stairs 316.
Wow. I don't know if this, speaking about emotion, but I don't know if anybody got a chance to listen to Greg Papa yesterday morning.
Yes, and that was
yeah,
that was real tears, real emotion, just because you think Papa and Bill King and all those guys, and like you guys flew at the Coliseum a lot. And he said it hit him like, I just like you were saying, I'm never going to go back. And he openly wept on the air. He was so emotional yesterday.
There was a lot of grown men. There was a lot of grown men crying on yesterday. Bip couldn't talk on the post-game show. He was broken. And before that, the night before, Stu was broken up on the air. They couldn't even talk.
And Brody and Brody Mazzillo, he was really trying to hold us together. He's the kid. He grew up in Castro Valley. He grew up in A's fan, so he's one of us. And it wasn't so much that he was his time at NBC Sports was coming to an end, but the fact that his team was leaving, that the team that he grew up with is no more. And it's just all the different emotions, all the different memories and everything like that is just memories. But it hit a lot of people hard. And going back to Greg Papa, is that was the first time I've heard him weep on air live since, because he doesn't do it very often. But the last time I've seen him do that was the game against Houston, the Raider game when they beat Houston. And this is the game after Al Davis passed.
Yeah, a lot of people were crying then.
I think last night when I got home and I kind of was able to just sit down and reflect on everything. And this is why I think this is going to run so much deeper than just a team moving to another city. Last night I had to say goodbye to probably 50 people who I consider my friends, who I will never hear from again. The ushers, the security guards. Those were the people. I might talk to the same player twice in a homestand. Maybe. I talk to the manager every day. But those security guards and those ushers, they know my life. We exchange our ups and downs together. And I had to say goodbye to those people. And a lot of these people are senior citizens.
This is their
only income or their supplementary income.
That's what I talked about.
Most of them seem to be like they're okay. They seem like they're going to be okay, that they'll still have work. But between, the Warriors, the Raiders, and now the A's losing, these folks are going to be out. And so you take me, like I said, I had to say goodbye to 50 people last night that odds are I will never, ever see again. And there's players who had to go through that. Kotze, I know that was one of the things that really choked him up. Dave, guess who came out last night? Gus.
Oh, yeah.
Gus is still with us?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, Gus like 93 years old.
That's good to know.
He was right outside the elevator at the bottom floor, and I walked out, and Janie goes, "Look, it's Gus." And I said, "Gus, oh my gosh." I told him, I said, "Doesn't matter what happens the rest of the day, Gus. My whole night's complete. Just seeing you." And so
ask about him.
If I've got those emotions and relationships, I guarantee you every A's player has those same feelings with various other workers in that building.
Oh, for sure.
And so
for sure.
This goes so much deeper than just a sports team leaving. This
it's the history, though, man.
Emotional issue.
I mean, they were in, if I'm not mistaken, that 72 championship team was really the first Bay Area championship in the modern era, right? I mean, you hadn't had the Niners' success. You hadn't had the Raiders hadn't won anything yet. Niners were close. I mean, the Cowboys, and anyway, that was pain what they went through in those playoffs in 72 and around that time. But that team the grit, the Oakland, everything you guys talked about, and they did it, and that, to me, I think that's why it's so sentimental to a lot of people, because you hadn't had that in the Bay Area. You hadn't had a championship. You hadn't had a team that went to the World Series and did it their way. Mustaches. Again, we talked about the Invaders. The A's uniforms were straight fire.
Yeah.
Oh man, the all
Ray
yellow.
Jackson with his afro popping out the back of his hat.
Yeah, they just had something about them. It was different. And as a kid, a little kid, when that went down, even though I was a Giants fan, you were looking like you still felt something. You still felt some Bay Area pride, even though, yeah. So, but now, okay, let's, you guys are all, you're veterans of covering sports. Let me throw this out there and let you guys talk about this part, the business side. Why did this happen? Why are they leaving? Is it just business?
Before we came on the air, we were talking about music a little bit, right? And last Friday, I was given tickets to go see Green Day, who I'd never seen before.
Ooh.
And Billy Joe Armstrong came out there and he said, John Fisher, and so did the lead singer for Rancid. The place went crazy both times. Everyone, was just talking about John Fisher, and I'm going to leave it at that. He's going for the money, right? So and everything he said. What do you guys think about that letter he put out?
It was just superficial. That's all it really comes down to. Is
I'll be polite and just say it's weak sauce.
It was cold.
Yeah,
it was cold.
Yeah,
real cold.
He didn't even write the letter. That letter was written by somebody else. Promise.
AI.
AI.
He was lying his ass off.
I
didn't see a single truth in there at all. Period.
Yeah, it's because I did pull one stat that was kind of an eye opener. So, 2005, his initial foray into ownership of the A's, there was $180 million purchase, right? Now it's worth 1.2 billion. No, 1.2 billion. Now, granted, on the scale of other teams, that's in the lower third. It's pretty low, but I would think the overhead, because he's not paying a lot of salary. Okay, I'm sure there's some depreciation somewhere, and some businesses like having negative income every year. There's some tax advantages to that. So I throw that out to say, you paid 180 million. Now it's worth 1.2 billion. That's an appreciable asset in my book.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on here?
I had no idea that he was also, his family owns Banana Republic and Gap. So he's swimming in money.
Yeah.
But if you look across sports, and this is something I've been saying for probably the last 10 years, it's not just the NBA, it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, all of them. When we were kids, baseball teams were owned by baseball men. Football teams were owned by football men. Basketball teams were owned by basketball men. That's when the purity of the games mattered. Now most teams are owned by businessmen. And what matters to businessmen? They don't care about loyalty. It's the bottom dollar. Okay.
Bottom line.
So here's this guy bought this team, like you say, for
180 million.
Standards, pretty cheap. He's made a boatload of money, and now he's asking, after he's made that boatload of money, he's asking for more money for a city to build him a stadium.
Right.
And that's pure business. It has nothing to do with sports.
Nope.
And this will not be the first time, or excuse me, this will not be the last time this happens. More and more across sports, you see these types of decisions made. You know,
but what about the political part of it? I mean, Libby Schaaf didn't make anything happen. Jerry Brown, what was the other? Gene she was Asian, a former
Yeah. How much is the
mayor.
city of Oakland to blame for this? Huh?
Gene Kwan, and we're joined by Nate
Kwan.
Oliver. Welcome, Nate.
Former major leaguer Nate Oliver. Go ahead.
Yeah, Gene Kwan and the current mayor. Now, I don't put it all on the current mayor because she kind of inherited some of this. Has been going on for a long time, but you have to have a willing partner. Someone has to be willing to at least negotiate. I think all along there wasn't any interest in staying in Oakland. You remember, what was it, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when they floated that stadium rendering that came out? They were going to build it out down by the waterfront and all of that. Looked nice to me, but I don't think that was serious either. But to your point, it is a business, and they're last in payroll. They don't pay out. They had a payroll of about $50-something million, which is a little bit higher than they did in 2023. But compared to what other teams are paying and how they don't have the expenses at the other teams, and they're losing money, it's a business move. It's just strictly crass business. It's got nothing to do with the actual sport of baseball. To your point,
I think the closest comparison I can come up with the A's movement is when the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore in '95.
Yep.
And this was like ours was, we kind of knew it was coming for
the middle of the night.
but the Browns actually didn't find out until into the season. I think they were like 4-1 or 5-1 at the time, and they had thoughts of going to the Super Bowl. And then that week is when Art Modell dropped the bomb that we're moving to Baltimore next year. So it was almost like it happened all of a sudden, and
they snuck out in the middle of the night, right?
Stadium too, and Cleveland wasn't going to do that, and Art just decided that he was going to up and move the team that had been there for decades.
But the cool thing about that, though, is they left the name and the colors with the city.
Yeah,
right. They became the Ravens, right? They said, okay, it's kind of like what the Oklahoma City Thunder did. They left the Seattle likenesses and names and records in Seattle. So I thought maybe with going to Vegas, it may behoove the A's, if that happens, they should rebrand and leave the colors, leave the Oakland A's, all that stuff, leave it with Oakland. So if it does come back, if something happens and all the A's are there, because Las Vegas A's, kind of like the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders just doesn't have the same. It just doesn't have the same thing. I thought they might do that, but maybe.
There was talk. Yeah, that actually is a really good idea. There's talk that there are two teams that the NBA it can expand to. There's one was Vegas and the other was Seattle, and they almost got the Kings back in like 2015, I want to say. And then so if they expand to Seattle, then the obvious choice would be the Sonics, because we all want the Sonics to come back. I mean, we're here in the Bay Area, but we understood how big of an impact the Seattle Supersonics had. It was always been a basketball city. Of course, they had the Seahawks and the Mariners, but the Sonics was really the driving force in that city for years.
Yep.
Same like I was talking to someone before we came on, and he said that he's talking to his people in Vegas, and they don't want him.
No, they've been talking about that for a while too. Yeah,
he said they don't want to inherit the karma that's going to be coming. The owner, they don't want to be involved. The karma that's going to come the owner's way for leaving Oakland like this.
It's not just the karma. It's that they've seen what he's done while he's been the owner of the A's. He hasn't spent a red cent to make this team quality, to really improve it. And I talked to a reporter yesterday from Vegas, and he said there's a growing sentiment. They would rather have an expansion team than have the A's move there. Now, I want to throw this out there also about John Fisher. John Fisher's not just responsible for the A's leaving. He's directly responsible for the Raiders leaving.
Yeah.
He refused to sit down with the Raiders to come up with a new Coliseum plan on the existing surfaces. And his heels were dug in. He wouldn't relent. So that's when Mark Davis said, screw it, I'm out of here. Okay. And so Mark Davis is hostile. I talked to some other people in Vegas. Mark Davis is irate right now at Fisher because they moved out because of him.
And now he followed.
In that letter that John Fisher wrote, he said, I wish I had a chance to talk to each and every one of you. Well, you know what? He had a chance to talk to 47,000 of them yesterday at one time. And what'd he do? He stayed hidden like the coward he is.
He is.
Absolute shame of professional sports and shame on humanity because he affected so many people's lives with his decisions, his selfish decisions, and then tries to pass off, oh, I tried everything I could. I wish I could talk to you. Guess what? You had that chance and you decided to stay hidden.
Many times.
Which was probably in his best interest because had he shown up yesterday, he might not have got out of there.
Now, do you think he sabotaged the it's almost like he purposely didn't put a product on the field that people wanted to come see.
Totally
every time they would get a star or somebody a star in the making, boom, they're gone. It's like it was a purposeful march towards this move for the last.
It was Rachel Phelps from Major League One, the non-fictional version.
Right. Because we know in the Bay, if you put even a team that's remotely competitive, we're gonna show up.
Yep,
we'll be there. But if we know you're not even trying, go ahead, Dave.
Did you see what Larry Beal said
over the last few years, guys? Sorry. Think about this. He has allowed to get away Olsen, all-star first baseman. Murphy, all-star catcher. The kid from here in Oakland, the second baseman, all-star second baseman, won a world Marcus Semien, won a World Series last year with Texas. He has allowed two pitchers that were both all-stars to get away. There is the nucleus of anybody's baseball team. You got 5 all-stars that you literally just allowed to walk away. He just accidentally happened to put a great product on the field this year, not because of his doing, because those kids just grew up, improved, were hungry, and developed a whole lot faster than he anticipated. I'm under the impression that he better not, this is just my opinion, he better not do anything of that magnitude in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Dave, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, Larry Beal, Channel 7. He the other day he wrote a little commentary, and he said, if Fisher really meant it, if he could make anything happen, Beal said, I could call up 3 billionaires right now who would want to buy this team immediately.
Wow. I heard
Barry Ellison, people like that. He didn't try.
There's no love for Oakland. It's just no love. It's like the redhead stepchild. It's just
John Fisher's a coward in every sense of the word. I didn't have much respect for him in the first place because I saw what he was doing with the team. And he wasn't putting money. Here's a guy who was taking money from all 29 other teams.
Right.
His franchise was basically stealing money. And they have that revenue sharing program in place so you can keep your team competitive. And all he did was keep it in his pocket. So
they do have the profit sharing program.
Better. And then he blamed the fans for not supporting the crap product he was putting on the field.
Nate, what did you say? Because you have an inside look as a former player. What did you just say?
They a lot of the what they call low market teams are included in the profit sharing, and the profit sharing, just like it was stated, is supposed to go to the upkeep, the improvement of your baseball program. And I can't believe that deep down in my heart. If this is a project you're going to put on the field, then I want to know what happened to the money that the other owners are contributing for you to put a much better product on the field. I just think there's something about the man, like somebody said earlier when I got on. He just wants to be able to put the money in his pocket and lay the blame everywhere else but at his own footstool.
Mhm.
And
Have
that's
you
the
ever
definition
seen
of
it like
cowardice.
this?
I mean, shouldn't that be a crime?
Well, it should be. And here's
It-
the other thing. There's 29 other owners
Mhm.
who wrote off on this. They could have
Yeah.
stopped this at any
Yeah.
one of them. It was a unanimous vote.
That's
Mm.
true.
So as much blame as John Fisher deserves, the other baseball owners deserve some blame too. Because at
That's
any
correct.
time, and what this does,
Because they were stupid enough to believe that he was going to actually put some money into the team and make them competitive to the point where they can actually go to the postseason and contend for World Series, because they've done this before, and then they would just get rid of the players before they could.
Yeah, and the Giants and the Warriors are the model, because the Giants built their own stadium, right?
Mhm.
No, there's infrastructure improvements around the stadium that the government has to do, but that's minor compared to building a stadium. The Warriors built Chase, right? And they're reaping the benefits of that, which is great. You can't tell me that a team worth 1.2 billion, a guy who's literally not spending money on payroll, you can't tell me that they can't leverage a deal and build a stadium, and then but you reap all so the model was here. The way to do it is actually here, but this was a choice. This was a business ethics choice, and it's probably not going to work. It's probably not going to
Did you
work.
put that on mute?
I believe that's let me.
His
I can
name.
read.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got to bounce out real quick. I got to go pick my son up. But
All right,
it's
sir.
always a pleasure and an honor when you guys have me on. I love y'all, and I love the city of Oakland. I never realized how deep that meant, that place. I spent pretty much easily half of my life there.
Yep.
Easily half
Yeah.
my life in that building. And I told some security guards last night, I am not going to be surprised if opening day next year we're still there, because there's still a lot of red tape, not just in Vegas,
That's true.
but in
That's true.
Sacramento too.
Right.
There's
Right.
a lot of red tape going on. So
That's
Yep.
true.
hopefully it happens. And if it happens, it would be beautiful, not just for the fans, but it would make John Fisher have to come back here with his tail stuck, with his head stuck between his legs.
Nice.
Yep.
And eat some crow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Eat some crow. That's
And
right.
Oakland would have the upper hand. Oakland would have the negotiations upper hand this time, because you got nowhere to go.
Exactly. So
Leverage.
y'all have a
Leverage.
great night. Keep
All
on the
right, sir.
fight for Oakland. We all can agree that we love the East Bay, Oakland, and look, it's like Marshawn Lynch said, it's a ism thing. Either
Yep.
you get it or you don't.
Exactly. All right, sir.
It is.
All right.
Drive safely. I
So
just think
let's,
about the families that come together to go to games, and they're priced out now. They can't go to take their kids to Warrior games or the grandkids. The prices are sky high.
Exactly.
And the A's.
Absolutely, that part right there, because in the A's game was like, I remember the dollar Wednesdays, dollar tickets, dollar hot dogs,
Yeah.
arms full of
Yeah.
hot
Dollar beers.
and it was ultimate. And it was bad. And plus they had a good team back then too, so that made it even better. So and you don't get that anywhere else in sports, really, besides Oakland A's, and that's what made it so special.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember
Back
as a
in the
kid.
day-
we used to, go ahead, Dave. You go ahead.
Well, yeah, like a 12:30 game on a Wednesday, there'd be 30,000
Mhm.
easily, and it was a great experience.
It
Middle
was
of the
such a
week, day game.
it was such a productive program. They named it the Business Person Special, and the business people took to heart, and they were willing to spend their 2 hours of lunch watching the baseball game on Wednesday afternoons.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember in the summers we would take we would catch the bus because I grew up in Richmond. We would take the bus, the 72M or the 72P. We take it all the way down, or we go to the BART station and get off at at the Coliseum station. But as a kid, going there and sitting down and just watching Ricky Henderson play baseball, it was. And I look back now and just think how lucky I was, and we were, to be able to watch prime Ricky, because there was nobody like him. There was nothing else going on like that. And it was a whole show. Even the snatch catch and all of the things that he did, the popping of the collar when he hit the home run. I mean, there was just as a kid, and you think back, and I'm old enough where I was a really little kid, but I'm old enough. I was in the park. I've seen Willie Mays, right? I mean, my parents took me to see, because my dad wanted to make sure that I got an experience to see that. I don't remember it, but I was there. But I remember going to see Ricky Henderson, and just a great player. I'm a Giants fan, but he's my favorite baseball player. And I have my little starting lineup, Ricky Henderson. I'm one of those.
This man right here.
He's
one of those.
In his 60s right now. He still looks like he can play.
Yeah. But let's talk about that.
eBay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes.
I was gonna say let's. I think he's yeah. I'm gonna have to mute you again. They look like somebody's in the room with you, or
that's the wife. She's talking business on the other phone. But
okay, all right. We don't want to spread no business trade secrets out here. But let's talk about some of the great players. We kind of danced around a little bit, but let's go down the list of some of the truly great players in A's history and baseball history. So I mentioned Ricky Henderson, but Dave Stewart, what Dave Stewart used to do.
Reggie Jackson, of course, my favorite.
Reggie.
Vida Blue.
Vida Blue.
And in those days when
Mike Norris.
Charles Finley, he gave them all nicknames. Remember Blue Moon Odom and True Blue and all that. He really did a lot for the game. Although he was a hell of an owner, but and Bill King, of course.
Bill King. Oh yeah, you gotta talk about Bill King.
You gotta talk about Bill King. That's why I love made baseball so exciting.
Yeah. I forgot George Hendrick played with the A's. I forgot about that. He was on that championship team.
The A's had a lot of guys. Dave Parker, Tommy Davis.
Parker.
Yes, they had a lot of people that played there. Joe Morgan, didn't Joe play for a minute in Oakland?
Yeah, he did. He did.
A lot of people played for Oakland. Of course they did.
And an unsung guy, Tony Phillips, was bad. Tony Phillips could play some baseball.
Tony became an all-star second base for the A's.
Sure did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but before Bill King, the A's announcer was Harry Carey.
Wow.
What?
And I used to do an imitation of him when I was a kid. This is this is Harry Carey along with Monty Moore here at the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah, we remember Monty Moore. Yes,
we got a little something for Monty coming up for the song of the day. It's a long, but I'm not gonna play the whole thing. But I got something special coming up for our audio portion of the show.
That's a good one, Dave.
Man,
that's because I'm
Harry
old.
Carey. Harry Carey.
Yes, because I'm old.
But man,
we're all older.
Yeah. But you know what though, we are fortunate in that we were able to live in the time where we had these classic figures, these icons.
Getting to the ballpark early to see Canseco and McGuire taking batting practice.
How do we forget Canseco and McGuire? Hello,
unbelievable. Yeah,
we didn't forget those two.
Ash brothers.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Carney Lansford. Carney Lansford. Yeah, nothing got by Carney. Nothing.
Yeah.
If he can get his glove on
Campy
Campaneris. Yeah. So many great players and managers. Billy Martin. We had Billy Martin.
That's why I said kicking.
And you had Dick Williams also as the manager.
Dick Williams.
Oh yeah, Dick Williams.
Dick Williams. Yeah. Back when they was rocking the white hats. Remember the coaches used to wear the white hats. I'm like on the
and the guys wore the green hats, right?
Yes, all the coaches had the
Oh,
white
of
with
course
the
you
green brim,
Forget about,
Yeah.
and the
can't forget about
man,
And don't forget, Joe DiMaggio was a coach there for a while.
He
right?
was. He was.
Yeah.
Lord,
He was.
Man,
history.
Yeah.
that is legend.
And then
Legend.
And
Joe DiMaggio
I
from
interviewed
Arkansas.
him once. I interviewed Joe DiMaggio once, and it was at an All-Star game. And when I got done, I walked back over behind the backstop, and Eric Plunk says to me, "Wow, that was one of the greatest hitters of all time." And I go, "He was married to Marilyn Monroe."
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Eric Plunk didn't know that, and he ran around the
Are you
into the
serious?
dugout. Do you know he was married to Marilyn Monroe? And I was like, yeah, everyone knows that. Come on.
Anybody know that?
Man. So what's next, do you guys think? I mean, do you guys think it's really going to happen? I mean, brass tacks. What's next for the A's? I mean, Sacramento seems to be happy, but
I think, like Wag said, is I think there's a lot of there's going to be a huge logistics issue with that ballpark because Rayleigh Field, the River Cats use that, and that's the AAA
Right.
the Giants. So it's how that's going to work.
Right.
I
You're
have
right.
no clue. I mean, they're going to basically what they're going to do, like have like 1 week where the River Cats play, and then the next week the A's play at home. It's
Boy.
it's there's a lot of stuff that's going to have to be worked out, and again the Giants have blocked the A's from going to say San Jose.
yeah,
San Jose.
And the A's from going to Sacramento because technically Sacramento is Giants territory as well because River Cats.
Yeah, and there's
That's
some
right.
issues around travel
Stockton
because
is a minor league team. Stockton does. Maybe they can go to Stockton.
Yeah. But Major League Baseball has all these rules about travel days and day games before travel. I mean, there's some significant logistics that they have to work through. To your point, because I think they were saying because it's so hot, they were going to play all night games, and I think Major League Baseball says no. I think most of the time, like you see a lot of midweek day games or Thursday day games, so that the guys can travel to get to the next city, right? So they're going to have to work through all of that too in terms of scheduling, and it's 119 degrees in Sacramento at a certain time, and they're putting in turf. They're going to put in AstroTurf.
Yeah, it's going to be 150 degrees on the field.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Guys, let me tell you, that is not going to work. AstroTurf is not going to work in Sacramento.
Yeah,
because
they said they'll have to.
90% of the AstroTurf fields have about a half an inch to an inch worth of foam underneath that tarp. And it gets extremely hot. And when it gets that hot, the balls off the bat that hit the ground pick up another 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour. Whoa. That's gonna be very, very. I remember played one of the first games ever at the old Astrodome. And we were told before the game, please do not make any comments about the condition of the field when the game ended. There were balls that were normal ground balls that I would just, meander over, catch and throw guys out. I didn't even get close to those balls. That's the exact same thing that's going to happen here. You cannot play in warm, extremely warm weather and climate on AstroTurf, which is one of the other reasons that the NFL has tried to distance themselves from AstroTurf as much as they possibly can because of all the injuries that ensued because of it. It's just too difficult. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I don't know what's going to happen in Las Vegas either, because if we remember about 2.5, maybe 3 months ago, the mayor of Las Vegas told the A's they needed to try to rework some kind. The mayor, this is the mayor of Las Vegas.
You did.
You guys need to try to work out some better deal and stay in the city of Oakland. And the reason for that is because their school system is so dominant and so important that they refused to relinquish this money that was designated for schools. And that was one of the major sticking points and holdups in Las Vegas.
I remember the mayor saying that too. I remember that was even like last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think we talked about it, Edric.
we did.
Mhm.
It's not a done deal. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's always hope. And like I say, I keep pointing to the Giants. I mean, I was crushed when we thought the Giants were going to Florida. I mean, everybody it was over, and you know, swan songs and all of that. But at the last minute, you know, a group swooped in, bought the
Yeah,
team,
Mr.
kept
Lurie
them
bought
here.
the team.
Yeah, and kept them
Mhm.
here. So
Yeah.
you know, it I think you said earlier, Jeremy, that there's billionaires, you know, growing on trees here in the Bay Area. So I mean, you can literally find somebody to write a check and take it off his hands. But I don't think he wants that.
Yeah, and honestly though, it just doesn't seem to me that from what I've heard and what I've read is that Las Vegas doesn't even really even want baseball because they've already think about it. They already have the Raiders, they already have the Golden Knights, they already have the Aces. Aces
Mhm.
do really well, and plus all the other stuff that goes on a daily basis in Vegas.
Right, it's a
They
destination.
Yeah.
they have UFC. They don't need baseball.
Mm-mm.
No, and you got to think about this, guys. You're going to play baseball in Vegas. It's going to be 90 degrees at 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
And
no,
plus
it'll be
the
100.
fact, Vegas is a tourist town, and you need to have some homegrown fans and affiliates and associates when you're talking about supporting a baseball team. This is totally
That's
different
right.
from basketball and baseball. I mean, football.
Well, the Raiders, Nate, are dealing with that now. I had one of our cousins went from North Carolina, went to a game, and he was so angry at how the Steeler fans took over the stadium. And although they do travel well, it's still a destination place because you got
Yeah.
people that still like, oh, I want to say I went to the new Raiders stadium and I went to a Raiders game. And so they want a part of the mystique. So they go to the game, and then you can't tell who's the home team sometimes or the visiting team because they're all mixed up. It's a destination place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It'll be the same way with baseball.
Yeah. And one of the major factors, one of the major factors in a fan base is you've got to have these kids coming to the game to identify with a particular player in order for them to want to bring mom and dad and aunt and uncle and friend and relative to watch the game.
Right.
It's true.
Right. Go ahead, Dave. You were going to say?
Vegas has done a good job as far as like when they brought in the hockey team. That arena, I went to a game last year, and that arena was as wild as any Sharks game I ever been to.
Wow.
And they've only been there a couple years. So there is a possibility of getting a good fan base, but you know, to fill a baseball stadium is going to be a different story, I think.
Yeah, and you got to put product on the field. I mean, he's not going to be able to nickel and dime in Vegas. Yeah, you gotta spend some money on some players, man, because otherwise it's going to flop. And you know, shout out to the Vegas Knights because they went to the Stanley Cup, didn't they?
Yeah, they won.
Yeah, their first year. Yeah.
Actually, year it existed.
Yeah. So I mean, they hit a home run, no pun intended.
And I don't think the A's are going to win a World Series their first year in Vegas.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So we are coming up on the hour, but since I have everybody here, Felicia, if you don't mind, so just so you guys know, every week I do a word of the week and we do a song of the week. I didn't do a song and the word was melancholy, but I'm not going to, dwell on that because that's too sad. But I want to play something because this was something and so it's a record I have. I actually got it for Christmas, believe it or not, back in the day when I was about, a little kid right after this happened. But I want to share this with you guys. And so I'm going to start playing it and then I'm going to show you what it is. So I'm going to play it. Just close your eyes and think back to 1972.
You are about to enter another dimension. You're being transported to a baseball fantasy land more bizarre than anything Abner Doubleday ever dared to dream. A land where the good guys always wear white shoes. They come gloriously garbed in Kelly green and gold uniforms, brashly brandishing bushy mustaches and sideburns, with the magic A''S emblazoned on their chests to ward off such evil spirits as tigers, Orioles, White Sox, and Reds. Their thrilling, outlandish deeds will be forever chronicled in the great baseball annals under the name of the Oakland A's. But to those who knew them well, they will always be remembered as Finley's heroes. Heroes like Sal Bando.
Now here's the Coliseum on July the 4th. Fans would like nothing better than to see Bando put a charge into one and light up the scoreboard. The A's and the Yankees, 0-0. It's the last half of the 4th inning. The bases are loaded for the A's captain Bando against Mel Stottlemyre. Stottlemyre goes into the windup. Joe Rudy comes down off third. Around comes the arm. Then rides the pitch. Bando swings. There's a long drive. Sal has hit this ball deep. And that one's got a chance to set off the Finley fireworks on the 4th of July. It is gone! Home run, Bando!
Heroes like the Oakland A's speedy shortstop, Campy Campaneris.
Here's Campy Campaneris. Lead it off now for the A's in the last half of the 7th inning. And all the little Roadrunner's done today is have 3 hits in 3 at-bats.
Watch this. Listen.
Larry LeGros is on the mound, and he's winding. Here's the pitch to Campy. Look out, it hit him right in the leg. Campy is mad, and he throws a bat at him. Oh, that could cost Campaneris playing in a World Series or something.
That's what Campy threw the bat.
Nestor Sharlock
Yes, he did.
Campaneris was hit in the leg by a pitch, and he threw the bat at the pitcher. Oh, man, I got to hope that nothing serious happened here. Billy Martin is having to be restrained. I was surprised they didn't pick Campaneris out of this ball game.
Then there was last year's rookie sensation Vida Blue, who, due to a contract dispute, missed spring training and got off to a late start.
Vida leading off second base and 1 out. Joe Rudy swings. There's a fly ball to left center field. Ken Ford, the Rangers, goes over, gets under it. Vida back to tag up at second. He's going to go to third. Ken Ford makes the catch. He puts his head down and starts crowding into the ball. He thinks it's a third out, and Herb Norton is waiting Vida to the plate. Here comes the throw to Mason, the shortstop. Mason throws to Billings at the plate. Vida slides. He is safe. He scores from second on a fly ball to left field.
Vida was running bases.
And a great way to end the unbelievable season of 72. The action went like this.
Wow. Last little
Nobody
bit.
throwing in the A's bullpen now. There's an off-speed pitch lined out in left field away from Rose. It's 2-1. Around first base on his way to second is Tennis. Here's Rose's throw, and he's in with a double and his 9th RBI. It is 2-1 Oakland. And the crowd at Riverfront Stadium suddenly very quiet again. They had rallied, now they're behind, and there's a ball hit to straightaway center field. Bobby Tolan goes back near the warning track, reaches up, it'll be off the wall. And it is now 3-1. The ball gets away from Tolan, then to second base goes Bando with a double. Back-to-back doubles. 2-run score on 3 base hits. There was 1 error, and the bases were left loaded. We go to the last of the 6. Oakland 3, Cincinnati 1. So, even with 2 out in the last of the 9th, the wheels continue to turn, and hold up, this series isn't over yet. Rose steps in. He is 2 for 4 today and has made great contact all 4 times. The other 2 were driven deep to the center field wall. Fly ball, deep left field. Rudy goes back. The other warning track is there. The World Series is over. And on 1 pitch, Rose is out. And the underdog Oakland Athletics win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930. The A's win it 3-2.
Wow.
Blast from the past. I just, I've had this
That's
record.
great.
Literally, I got it
Good
for
stuff.
Christmas back in the day, and I've had it. I used to play it on my little Fisher Price record player.
Wow.
And
It's so hard
just
to believe you are A's fan.
well, remember now they won the championship, and so you felt like
Yeah.
3 times, and so you felt like even though we were Giants fans, like you were saying, Dave, we watched it. I saw the green and gold on Technicolor, right? I mean, you got hooked, and so my parents, they got me that record. I have a Laker one too from back in the day, 1970, when the Lakers won. It had been in the 70s. I have a Lakers album. Some of those sports albums are nice. If you're out there in the vinyl land, every team would always put out a record when they won a championship back in the day. And so I just happen to have this A's one. So I thought it was appropriate, given that the history that everybody's been talking about, and you still get those. I mean, I'm old enough to remember baseball on the radio.
Absolutely.
Giants games on the radio. Russ Hodges, all them cats when I was a kid.
Wow.
So yeah, but anyway, so that was my song of the day, the A's championship run, and ironic that Billy Martin would be on the other side having to be restrained, and then flip it another generation, and he's on the A side having to be restrained. So shout out to Billy Martin.
Yeah, no. I forgot
All
about
right.
Rolling Fingers.
Yes. Yes.
Started
Rolling
thinking of that
fingers.
and Charlie Finley and the glow in the dark ball.
The white shoes.
And they
Yeah,
had a rabbit that came up behind home plate that popped out of the ground. A rabbit, a giant rabbit statue holding a basket of balls. So when the umpire needed new balls, it would pop up behind home plate,
Come on.
and he'd get the balls from
Wow.
that. I got to find pictures of that. It's amazing.
Finley was really trying.
And we forgot Hammer. We didn't talk about Hammer.
Yeah.
Hammer was a bat boy.
What?
MC Hammer was a bat boy with the A.
Got his name, Little Hammer, from.
Yeah. So.
And assistant general manager, right?
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
right.
General manager.
So
wow, just so many. We're gonna think a lot more when we get off.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what about the dot races and doing the wave in the stadium?
Yeah.
You'd be waiting
the dot
for your turn to
races.
come.
Dot races.
The dot races of the cars racing. Yep.
Or how about this? When we would get ice cream, we would get get those little batting helmet. You get a little batting helmet.
Oh yeah.
They come in.
Oh,
and
you
go to enough games, you try to collect all of them.
Yeah. Yep.
We did that. I had those for years.
I think I was a little older at that time.
Yeah, but they used to have helmet day. They had bat day, hat day, all kind of giveaways back then. I guess they probably, liability. They probably couldn't have bat day now. You imagine bat day today?
No. And wouldn't they have a concert sometime afterwards, or was it just?
Yeah.
Right, Dave.
Fireworks.
And they had those Day on the Green concerts that would stack
That's
up
what I was about to say. Day on the Green.
5 or 6 great bands, and it would be Santana and the Beach Boys and all. They would have these day-long concerts at the Oakland Coliseum that they just don't have anymore. So
nope.
Yeah, and also they
memories.
would have the firework nights. They used to let us on the field.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Sure did.
And when we were 8 years old, we were so all of us kids, we were so infatuated with trying to with pretending we could rob a guy of a home run. So we would go up to like the left center field fence, and we'd jump as high as we could, see if we can reach our hand just over it, so we can pretend we're catching the ball out and robbing a guy of a home run. We did that over and over again.
Memories, man.
And I got great memories of Dave. When I had a relative that got tickets, and Dave, you interviewed me during a playoff game.
Oh,
remember?
Put you on TV? You're on TV.
I was on TV.
All right.
It was Boston. I think it was against Boston. We had the Aces. What were the Aces' name? The guitar
Clemens.
Guitar
Roger
player.
Clemens.
No. For the A's.
Oh, Barry Zito.
Barry Zito.
No. Was it Howell? No, Art Howell was the manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hudson, Mulder, Zito. Ramon Hernandez, Tejada, Eric Chavez.
I remember those guys all lived together. They all lived together.
Jason Giambi.
Yeah.
Mulder,
yeah, those guys actually, they're 3 or 4 guys on the team all live together. That's some togetherness.
Wow.
Ooh, some wildness.
Yeah.
So many memories, man. So
yeah.
Well, we are past the hour fee, so we probably should start wrapping it up. But last thoughts, everybody, about where you think this is going, and what do you want to say to folks on this, pretty sad occasion that we're in?
I don't know. I'm holding out hope. I mean, based on what I'm hearing about Vegas and Sacramento, it's not a done deal. And like I said, I think in '92 they played their so-called last game at Candlestick. They thought the Giants were going to Tampa.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff happened between then and the start of the '93 season.
Yep. Mr. Oliver?
Anything can happen. Yeah.
People that have been working those games.
They changed ownership and they signed Barry. And then a few months later, they signed Barry Bonds. So anything can happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm taking prayer for all of the people that have worked at the Coliseum and the sports arena and that area for many, many years, especially all the vendors. I mean, what happens to them now? Nobody thought. I mean, some of us did, but a lot of those that made decisions didn't think about them and their welfare and their livelihood. And a lot of that's going to be missed because if you remember, if you saw one vendor working Oakland, that same vendor worked San Francisco, and that same vendor worked the basketball, everything. So that's a sad part, the part I'll miss the most, other than the players in the game on the field.
Dave?
I did. Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
It's gonna be a void, just a big void in our lives. I think we always had, you think of the places where you could go, and when the Giants weren't in town, the A's were in town. There was always somewhere to go, and now there's going to be a big blank space there.
Yep.
Sad.
I ditto primarily what Nate said, but I love my city, and I'm sad. I'm sad for Oakland again. It's like we just keep taking hits, and in order for things to get better, you got to be down, and there's no other way to go but up. So I'm hoping for the best for the city, because it brings winning, and teams bring people together. And if we don't have anything in the city, that's not good. And people without jobs, it's gonna hurt the economy. People go and hang out at bars at Jacqueline Square, and you know what? They just didn't think about that. And one thing that I keep forgetting his name. He used to be the vice president. He stepped down, but he was the vice president at the Warriors. He said that when they moved over to the new building, that he was going to look out for the people that were working at Oracle, and he did. He kept his word. He made sure that they got a way to work the best he could, and he kept his word. But this man doesn't give a hoot about. I mean, I know people that grandchildren are working as like 3 generations, ushers, security. I actually was expecting a guy from security to join us tonight, but I guess he got tied up. But you got generations of families and grandparents, and that makes me sad, for that. But we can always go across the bridge. Like my daddy said when the Raiders left, well, we got one team here. We're going to do here for the 49ers.
Yeah.
I'm not a Giants hater, but hey, I don't want to see them lose either. Right. So
it's going to be amazing when the A's come play the Giants. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, everything you guys said, and it's been a fantastic show. Thank you, everybody, and Fee, thank you, of course, because I always tell you, everybody. So thank you for assembling this great panel we had tonight. You can't give up hope. In business, nothing is final until it is. So we will see what happens. But I do feel for Oakland. I think sports, to what you're saying, Felicia, sports teams bring people together, like you said, and there's a sense of identity, a sense of culture. But out of the ruins, sometimes things happen, and let's give some love to the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. They have some stuff to play with now. Shout out to Oakland roots, and so there's still professional sports in Oakland, so we can't forget that. But it's a sad day in the Bay, and it's one that people are going to always remember. So keep your head up, everybody. A's fans, they're out there. Stay in tune with them. But it ain't over. That's what I'm banking on. It ain't over. So there's a fight
rooted in Oakland, the A's.
Exactly.
Forever rooted in Oakland.
Exactly. So
all right.
Sports in the Bay, Felicia Eddrick. Another one, Felicia. We did another one. Here we go.
We did it.
We did it. We did it. Thanks, everybody. Dave Gungona,
Thank you,
Jeremy
guys.
Harness,
Thanks for having me.
the great Nate Oliver, and Mike Wagman, who had to leave, but Mike always brings it. Thanks, everybody. We will be back probably week after next. So take care, and we will see you when we see you. Sports in the Bay, Felicia Eddrick. We out.
Right.
Peace.
Thank you so much, guys.